On January 9th, 2026, we saw the first domino of the NBA 2026 trade window open up. And that was a superstar moving from a semi-big market to a much smaller market. Now, this trade wasn't on the lengths of Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis, but it did include a guy that Luka was previously traded for, in that we saw Trae Young move from the Atlanta Hawks to the Washington Wizards. In place, the Hawks managed to get CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. Now, the anticipation was, after this trade, we suspected there'd be a bunch more trades with a lot of teams trying to make moves that basically position themselves well for a run at the title. We expected to hear the Knicks, possibly the Celtics with their resurgence even through Jason Tatum's injury, and of course we expected to maybe hear the Nuggets or Rockets make a move, especially with the Rockets in dire need of a point guard. But we heard nothing until February the 1st when we saw a trade that involved three teams: the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Sacramento Kings, and the Chicago Bulls. Now in this video, we're going to go through everything you need to know about this DeAndre Hunter trade, but at the same time, we're going to go through the pros and who wins in what aspect and what each team gets out of it. Starting off with the Cavs. In this trade, they managed to acquire Dennis Schroder, Keon Ellis, and Emmanuel Miller. Now, unfortunately, Emmanuel Miller, I'm not too aware of, but the other two, I have a depth of knowledge when it comes to. Dennis Schroder allows the team in the fact that he comes in as a veteran point guard, having been the 17th pick in the 2013 draft. Obviously, he hasn't made the greatest contract negotiation tactics, but that doesn't take away from his game, as Schroder has managed to mount himself a 2023 gold medal at the FIBA World Cup, where he was the MVP, averaging 19.1 points, 2 rebounds, and 6 assists, and then also a 2025 gold medal at Eurobasket, where again, he was the MVP. As Schroder has proven on the international stage, he is a veteran guard whose leadership of the German team in recent years has led them to great feats, to the point whereby they are a top 5, I say top 3 team, because generally speaking, if you think about it rankings wise, it's Team USA, Team France, and then currently the German team, who technically in my opinion might be better than Team France just from how we see them play. Now on the season, Dennis Schroder is averaging 12.8 points, 3.1 rebounds, and 5.3 assists while shooting approximately 40% from the field. Now the other part of this trade happened to be Keon Ellis, who was undrafted in 2022 and is currently playing through his 4th season in the NBA. Off the rip, the main thing about him is he is one of the best defensive guards in the league with a developing offense. Currently, he's averaging 5.3 points, 1.3 rebounds, 0.6 assists, and shooting 41% from the field and 34.2% from the 3. He is capable of averaging double digits in the league. We've seen him do it on occasion. He just needs more of an opportunity, as currently when he was playing in Sacramento, he was playing behind Zach LaVine, in which case, as you know, Zach is an offensive dynamo, and when it's him and DeMar DeRozan sharing a court, when you're on the floor with either, you're very likely not going to be able to get a shot. Fortunately for the Cavaliers, Keon Ellis is on a $2.3 million contract that expires at the end of the year, which is a pro and a con, because it does mean he is eligible for a 3-year, $52 million contract. Now, in the side of the Kings, they got DeAndre Hunter, the 4th pick out of Virginia in the 2019 NBA draft, selected by the Los Angeles Lakers before being traded to the New Orleans Pelicans in the Anthony Davis trade, and then eventually being sent to the Atlanta Hawks, where we originally saw him start his stint. Now, he did spend 5.5 years of his career in Atlanta alongside Trae Young, and then for the last 2/3 of the year, he was playing in Cleveland, and basically he's been playing in Cleveland since the beginning of the 2026 season. He is a reliable role player who, in this current season, coming off the bench, has managed to contribute 14 points, 4.2 rebounds, and 2.1 assists, averaging 42.3% from the field and 30.8% from 3. He's a young guy who can really prove a lot. Now, in this trade, the Bulls managed to score themselves Dario Saric, who's only played 5 games this year and is in the final year of an expiring contract, and 2 second-round picks that were a 2027 second-round pick and a 2029 second-round pick. Now, quickly going over how each team benefits, when you think about the Cavs, this is a major improvement for them. Firstly, moving on from DeAndre Hunter allows them to save $50 million in salary and luxury tax bills, whilst at the same time acquiring Dennis Schroder means that they gain a point guard depth in their depth roster, and with his proven leadership, it benefits them, especially with how Darius Garland's recently been playing, because firstly, Donovan Mitchell has had to take on some of the point guard duties in regards to getting the offense going, but if you have someone like Dennis Schroder on the floor with him, it alleviates that stress from Donovan Mitchell, where he can then focus on his main go-to bag, which is just putting the ball in the basket. Now, the Cavaliers also gained one of the top defenders in the league in Keon, Ellis, when it comes to guarding the perimeter, which is highly needed, as at the current moment, the Cavaliers are currently ranking 13th in defensive rating, which doesn't look that bad when you look at it initially, but when you look at it in detail, it's because the Cavs have the 3rd best defense at the rim and the 3rd worst defense at the perimeter. Only other teams allowing a worse 3-point percentage, i.e. allowing teams to shoot better from 3, happen to be the Brooklyn Nets and the Utah Jazz. And as we currently know, both those teams are currently struggling, with the Jazz being 13th with a record of 15-35, whilst the Nets are 13th in the East as well with a record of 13-35. So the pickup of Keon Ellis is highly required because they do require that perimeter defensive capability, which Keon is well known for, as he basically hangs his hat on the defensive side of the ball before moving on to the offensive side. Firstly, it allows them to be able to convert a two-way center in Dylan Cardwell to a standard NBA deal. Now, Cardwell is an undrafted rookie and this season has managed to average 4.7 points, 7.1 rebounds, and 1.7 blocks in 19.8 minutes worth of play every game. And he is also capable of elevating his gameplay more, and it is something that's highly needed by the Kings, as at the center position, if it's not Domantas Sabonis, they are kind of lacking. The next thing they gain is a proven 6'7", 3-and-D, 28-year-old wing whose contract expires at the end of the 2026 to 2027 season, which perfectly for the Kings is in line with exactly when Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan's contracts expire. Now, the Kings might be seeing this as an opportunity to move on from the two, as originally both DeMar and Zach were in Chicago, and then they both got shipped off, both arriving in Sacramento at their different times. But as we've seen, neither of the two superstars can really carry you to winning capabilities. So if you're the Kings, you're most likely trying to move on from their heavy contracts, with Zach LaVine's current contract being $43 million and DeMar DeRozan's being $25, while someone like DeAndre Hunter is only averaging $22.5 million a year. So it's a worthy move on because you then get to basically build around someone else and at the same time move on from some bad contracts that you most likely don't want at this point. So they get 1.5 years to test him and see whether he would be a good fit with the team moving on from these veteran contracts, and at the same time it allows them a little bit of flexibility in regards of what they do going into the next season. Now, the third team in this trade obviously is the Chicago Bulls, who for them, this was clearly just a thing of getting expiring contracts and picks. First off, Dario Saric is on an expiring $5.5 million contract, which allows the Bulls to free up about $5.5 million next year. And looking at it, the only players on contract next year happen to be 8 specific players who are all below the age of 27 or below, in Josh Giddey, who's 24 years old, Patrick Williams, who's 25, Isaac Okoro, who's 26, Jalen Smith, 26, Trey Jones, 26, Matisse Buzelis, if I'm not butchering the name too bad, 22 years old, Nyao Isungwa, who is 20 years old, and Julian Phillips, who's 23 years old. Looking forward at this, you can see that the Bulls are basically in a full redevelopment mode whereby they haven't renewed anyone's contracts. At the current moment, there's an issue whereby they're considering whether they want to move on from Kobe White because a backcourt of him and Josh Giddey doesn't prove to be too defensive. And at the same time, the amount of cap space they'll have just signing these 8 young kids allows them a lot of flexibility in regards of being able to draw in a major superstar, and especially with the play style that Josh Giddey has, where we've seen him be a triple-double offensive juggernaut, it makes a lot of sense to want to go out there and pick someone up. The only person I can see the Bulls re-signing out of the players that have expiring contracts this year happens to be Ayo Dosunmu, just because he is a young guard and at the same time has the ability to play out at the perimeter. Now, the 2027 second-round pick and the 2029 second-round pick that they do acquire in this trade, I do not believe will be used to make any actual picks. If anything, I believe these will be used as trade capital to hopefully sign someone bigger or at least do something else. But all in all, that is everything you need to know about the DeAndre Hunter trade. My question to you is down below in the comments, who do you think won this trade? Who do you think lost this trade? And who do you think was just along for the ride? Because in my personal opinion, I believe that the Cavs might have won this one, depending on what happens with DeAndre Hunter in Sacramento, just because, moving on from Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan's contracts makes a lot of sense. Well, technically speaking, everyone won this one in my opinion, because everyone benefited in a way that benefits them the most. Bulls get to move on with their young core, the Kings get to move on from Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, and the Cavaliers get a significant boost when it comes to their guard development. But it's been your boy Alvin Mike from L.T.A. I'll catch you in a bit. Deuces.